Hey Duderoonies! Today we'll be reviewing One Piece Chapter 7 to 14, and from the translation I read by CCC is titled Lucy and Usi. We start the chapter immediately knowing something is just off with the little character portraits and the speech bubbles. Something's visibly distorted with Brook and Chopper's faces. On the same page, we're introduced to one of the previously seen members of the Don Quixote family, Jorah. Perhaps she's the one who messed up our crew. It seems to me like she has one of those conflicting gags where she thinks people said one thing but they said nothing of the sort. So sort of like the Duval gag. These have been popping up a lot lately. She references an eel, and if you were as confused about that as I was, she was talking about Momonosuke's dragon form. Don Flamingo has ordered her to seize their ship, and that's a particularly hideous act if you think about it, because a cruise ship is kind of their lifeblood. Without a ship, there's no way you're becoming Pirate King or even getting off of an island, especially if that island is inhabited by, like, a dangerous underground broker who can quite literally manipulate people at will. He also has his sights set on Momonosuke. In typical One Piece fashion, the next page contrasts quite heavily with the previous one as there's a surprising reveal. This ain't a bad thing, I'm just commenting on the style. The most immediate thing here is how Nami, Chopper, Momonosuke, and Brook have transformed into what looks like toys. That would fit with the arc, and a few people mistaked it for that, but it's actually art caricatures that they've been transformed into. This is a very interesting stylistic addition to the art, or like a temporary departure if you look at it that way. Though it's not really a departure because One Piece's general style is to be out there and bizarre. It's obviously going to be very entertaining to even simply see their reactions. Brook is the most obvious transformation, being converted to the Scream. Chopper is some sort of cubist style, and that could have to do with Picasso's work. Momonosuke also reminds me quite a bit of Picasso. Nami, I have no idea. I've heard many suggestions on that one. Anyway, art's never been a huge thing of mine, even though I took a rudimentary art knowledge class in college, so I can't spot all those references for you. Though they all look quite amusing, I'd say Nami's transformation elicited the biggest reaction out of me. Her appendages look like fucking noodles. Even her lips kind of look like a piece of macaroni or something. And honestly, she looks amazing like that, with the way the waver kind of complements her groovy look. Oda had some obvious inspiration there, and I'm interested to find out just what it was. Speaking of art classes, doesn't Jorah remind you a lot of art teachers in general? I had one that was a lot like her. It's really a spot-on stereotype and pretty hilarious on its own for the fact that she has an art-related ability. Behind her, when she's doing her chanting, you can see how warped the Sunny is. She also has an interesting philosophy for a villain, which is fairly typical for One Piece. She believes that freedom is everything. A villain who has the exact same philosophy as Luffy. Oda, you would do that. The reactions from the crew in that odd state just reinforces how bizarre the new world is, which is exactly what I was hoping Oda would go for in our new side of the sea. Dark and bizarre were my main two hopes for the new world. So far it's delivering magnificently on that front. Alright, we get to see the Sunny become ludicrously distorted, and it looks pretty ominous. While comedy was the intention for the others, I do not see that intention for the Sunny. It looks almost demonic. You get some deservedly huge reactions from the crew, followed by a completely silent transition zooming in on the face of the Sunny. Honestly, I'm getting some disturbing vibes from that last panel, and I think it needs some attention. Like, are you guys getting the same vibes? Vibes of, like, hopelessness, trouble brewing, vibes of things not being the same? Oda, for his standards, spent quite a bit of the stage pace on that panel. I think it's going to become an important theme of the arc. I said fucking spage pace back there, I'm keeping that. Anyway, we're rolling on. We switch from that eeriness, the eeriness of spage pace, to the Corrida Coliseum. Ricky's wanting to leave with some grave wounds, in particular head wounds. It's perhaps honor or stubbornness that's preventing him from receiving much-needed treatment. Rebecca, in her tall beauty, agrees with the medics. I think we learn the reason why Ricky refused here. It seems like he just can't reveal his face to Rebecca, and we get a shot of the two as what looks like father and daughter. On the next page, we get a scene switch to a room belonging to the Don Quixote family. Something of interest on the first panel is the door with the symbols on it, and quite frankly, Don Flamingo has the coolest symbols yet in the series, in my opinion. It looks like a symbol of like a bull to me with the horns and tails on the sides. Don Flamingo orders Bellamy to kill Luffy, to which Diamante reacts as if Don Flamingo is being soft because he's giving him another chance. That alone is unsettling enough. It's Bellamy's lucky day that he gets to kill someone is the line of thought here. From the way he sits, it's possible he's from the Long Leg tribe. The Long Leg tribe is showing up more and more lately, so with the enormous amount of threads of Oda's story and him being able to keep up with the huge majority of those, if not all, this has a decent chance of happening. If you look closely, just his thigh is longer than his entire upper body, so yeah, I think he is a long leg. Apparently this guy thinks assassination is easy work. I disagree completely. It just goes to show how much of a high standard of brutality these guys are set to. Bellamy is very remorseful at this request, like he's downtrodden, just like looking down and a very intriguing thing to see is Bellamy being like that. This is such a different guy than the guy that got his face wrecked by Luffy in what seems like such the distant past. Following along with the chapter's contrasting presentation from scene to scene, we get a panel of Bartolomeo smiling with those shiny, sharp teeth gleaming. What a hunk, he should be a model. He speaks with Cavendish about Luffy, and Cavendish at least wants him dead. I'm not sure what Bartolomeo wants, and this is one of Oda's vague hints that I can't pinpoint right now. But it's interesting how Oda hints things to you, especially in the manner he just did with Bartolomeo. He gives you kind of just enough to theorize about stuff. Okay, so there's this saying called people stirring a pot, pot stirring. That means they're basically kind of causing controversy, trouble, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, Oda is like the master pot stirrer. He gets people to debate and theorize about just the tiniest aspects of his series. Yet another scene change in this packed chapter. We switch to Korida being demolished by a guy with huge fists. It's revealed that he's Hadrudin, and he's called a rookie by the announcer. What that means is your eyes should be popping out of your skull at just how powerful just the rookies of Elbaf are. Can you even imagine a giant with a Logia? Alright, imagine that and how much his punches pack. Then imagine Blackbeard, who has a very high caliber punch and a very powerful Logia that he's surely trained more over the years. That's how powerful Blackbeard is. The announcer screeches about a death god of a bull that's killed 21 people, but quickly after Luffy's shown to be riding it with both of them sharing a goofy grin. Luffy's in his famous outstretched pose that's similar to how he is on the very first volume cover. It's kind of a trademark. The crowd is loco for Lucy, and Cavendish once again acknowledges the magnetic nature that Luffy has that was mentioned by Mihawk during Marineford. The bull makes the mistake of his life by ramming into Hadrudin. His horns just break off and he's defeated by a swift, heavy blow. It looked like both Lucy and Usi were done, put a fork in him, and have some tasty bull and Rubberman. Yeah, we all knew that wouldn't phase a Rubberman. Luffy gets right back up, looking concerned for Usi. A delicate side of his is shown, and you can see that with how his hand is drawn, in Oda's style, over the defeated bull. It just has kind of this soft nature to it. Luffy's a wonderful mix of delicacy and recklessness. We see him stand amongst the destruction with the shadow cast on him, ready to kick some ass. He gear 2 punches Hadrudin and bashes his freaking helmet in, literally. Hadrudin's gonna need, that thing fixed up. It's too glorious to leave like that. If his heart's still beating after that, anyway. That was some head trauma for you. Wonderful 2-page spread, by the way. Oda has a monopoly on these things. He's fantastic at them. Alright, I give this chapter an A++ for developing many subplots and not having a dull moment. This is just one chapter, and think of the entertainment value you got out of it compared to other things, just for the modern art part alone. See you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.